they ran out of cash. 30, 35% of the reason is because there is no market need for the product and services they offer. 20% of the reasons is that they get out competed by competition who play in that market and industry. Then there is 19% given to flawed business model. Then 18% pricing and cost issues, 14% to not having the right team, 10% to poor timing of product, then 8% to poor products. Just imagine, poor products is just 8%, which means that at the end of the day, the design of your product might not be the most important thing in your business success. It is very important, but it might not be the most important thing because 8% is attributed to poor products. If you look around you and you see restaurants, people still go to certain restaurants because they just need their bellies filled, not because they like the meal, but they just need their belly filled, and maybe because they don't have too much option. Then the next one is there is disharmony among team, and there's disharmony among investors. Then the next one is pivots gone bad. They are trying to change their business model or disrupt something about what they are offering, and it goes bad. 6% of that. Then 5% goes to burnout or lack of passion. So you see all of these things, and you will begin to imagine why it is important for us to give attention to learning as business owners. I want to say here this evening that I would recommend strongly that you get a pen and a paper. You just be able to at least learn one thing. Some of us might think that, oh, we are very good listeners. Reality is that the demands of life and the distractions around us would make us forget things very easily. So in order for us to maximize this opportunity and this time we have to spend together, I would like you to write some things down. Very important. So I'm going to speak to three aspects of the reasons why businesses fail. Okay, let me say four. I'm going to talk about market needs. I'm not talking about finance here because I know some other persons will definitely talk about this. I'm not just going to zero in on finance. I'm here to speak more about business model innovation, but I'm going to talk about market need. I'm going to talk about competition. I'm going to talk about business model and product quality. So I want to start by talking about no market need. No market need. Every business exists because there is a need. The reason why people offer food services is because people are hungry. That is a need. The reason why pharmaceutical industry exists is because people will fall ill. The reason why hotels exist, or let me say hospitality business exists, is that people need to lay their head somewhere. The reason why travels and transportation industry exist is that people need to move from point A to point B using a means. The reason why technology exists is that people want to be more efficient with what they do. They want to get results in good time. They want to make their life easier. And the reason why fashion exists is that people want to be clothed. Nobody wants to go around like they are in the Garden of Eden. People go around. And beyond the clothes that you even offer, you are also there to meet the esteem need of people. Let me talk about the Maslow's hierarchy of human need. I'm so sorry I could not get. So as I'm saying these things, I would also recommend that you write them down and do your own further reading, further learning about it. It is said that people who learn better are not the ones who just take what the instructor has given them hook, line, and sinker. There are people who trust, who keep an open mind, but they verify the information that has been shared with them. Hence, I'm going to really recommend that you pay attention to things I say, write them down, and beyond this class, try as much as possible to read further on those things. One of the aims of my presence in this place or my interaction with you tonight is to expand your way of thinking about the business that you run. Okay, So I want to talk about the Maslow's hierarchy of human because I'm talking about market need. Every business that exists and is successful, they understand certain things. They understand the customer segment that they serve. They understand the needs that the customer segment has. They also understand how to deliver value to the customers. In summary, when we're going to talk about business model, we are talking about three things basically. Three things basically. It is value creation, value delivery, and value capture. So I'm going to explain all of these things very easily. While I'm just getting at something. I'm just trying to let you see how this thing works. Like I mentioned, my aim in this place is to just broaden our horizon, help us to see certain things that we might not be considering as business owners, and use different models to help us see these things in a better light. Okay, so again, let me go back to Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. According to Abraham Maslow, he mentioned that in the pyramid of human need, there are 5 steps. The first step is that which we call physiological need of man. So for you to play well in business, you must know what people need. You must know how they need, why they need it. You must be able to devise the how, and you must be able to give them the what in a way that is satisfactory to them. So that was why I talked about the place of value creation. Value creation starts by knowing that there is a problem or there is a need. By extension, there is a gap that needs to be filled, or there is a bridge that needs to be built across 2 different points so that there can be ease of movement from one side to the other. Okay, good. So physiological need. There's a saying that a hungry man is an angry man. A person who has not been able to settle the need of the belly will not be able to settle the needs of the mind. Which means you put a book before a person that is hungry. The book will not be important to that person at that point. What the person needs is food. The person needs food. The person needs water. Physiological need that the person needs to survive on a daily basis. We're not going to put air and oxygen into that one, but food and water, very important part of physiological need of human. A person who has then been able to fix their physiological need can go to the next level, which we call the safety need. The safety need is when we talk about clothing, we talk about shelter, we talk about security. Okay, then from that point, you move to the next level, which we call the belongingness need or the love need or the or the psychological need. So we have physiological first, then the next is the safety need. When we talk about shelter, we talk about clothing. Then the next thing is the psychological, the love and belongingness need. That a person belongs in a family, belongs in a community. It is said that even a poor man is hated by the members of his household, which means that person will no get money. Let me use pidgin. Person will no get money, no, they get friends, that kind of thing. Then the next level is the esteem need. You know, one of the things that affects people's confidence is that they are poor. For example, I've been in institutions where I did not wear the outfit that is meant for a particular occasion. I felt somehow. That somehow affected my esteem. I've grown past that level. It affected my esteem somehow. Then that is the esteem need of man. And I'm going to show you how you could build your business around this model. Then the last one is self-actualization. But you have to settle one need first, one step at it. It is one step at a time, one step before the next. A person who has not been able to eat food, you don't want to offer clothing to the person because what is important to that person at that point is not a cloth. It's not a very nice outfit. What is important to that person at that moment is food. A person who has need for a community, who wants to belong in a group or who wants to feel accepted, you cannot be offering certain service to them until you're able to meet that esteem need. Okay, let me not stay too much on this. because of time. Like I mentioned, just do further reading on this. The goal is to ensure that you use the model to think about what you are offering. Case in point, let's say, okay, somebody mentioned that it makes bespoke footwears. So if you are going to make bespoke footwears, that means there's something you are offering people that goes beyond their physiological need. Because really, footwear is not a physiological need. I can survive without wearing shoes. It's a safety need for me because my feet need to be secure. But beyond the fact that my feet is secure, I want you to take me to a higher level. The level of, oh, if I wear, am I going to get attraction or get attention from some people? So, oh, your shoes are nice. I want that compliment. And then the next, so then that leads me to the next level. Oh, it boosts my esteem. Oh, wow. People are saying, wow, the shoes are lovely. I feel good about it. But that doesn't necessarily take me to self-actualization level. But at least if you're able to meet people's needs from stage one through stage four, you have done a lot, right? Then the other thing I want to talk about is the things that drive human. So if you want to be in business, you have to understand what make people tick, what make, I mean, things that make people take certain decisions, or things that people like or people gravitate towards. So I want to talk about the core human drives. I'm so sorry I could not share my screen. Like I mentioned, I'm speaking from my phone. So the core human drive, 5 of them. I'm just trying to put these things together before we go into the business model proper. So the core human drive, that what are the things that actually drive us to do what we do? Why we act the way we act? Why we act the way we do, right? The number one one of the core human drives is the drive to acquire. The drive to acquire. For example, when money gets into your hand, what comes to your mind first? Oh, there's this thing you wanted to buy. It is based on human instinct. We are wired that way to acquire. So you see, there is that drive to acquire. And because by nature, humans compare themselves with others, and humans are competitive in nature. So your friend has gotten a car, and you want to also get your own, or your friend has gotten a phone. Everybody's talking about a particular kind of phone that's nice. It just comes to you. The next one that comes to your head, if you have sufficient, you want to buy that kind of phone. So one of the core human. Hear me clearly, please. Hello, guys. I hope you can still hear me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please confirm that you can hear me.
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
I can hear you. Yeah. Yes, sir. I
Hello?
can hear you, sir. Yes.
Hello?
Go on, we
I
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you. Okay, you can go on. We can hear you. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, good. So I talked about the core human drive. We act, I mean, the reason things that make us why we do what we do. So I talked about the core human drive. We always want to buy. That's why we have demand and supply. The next thing is the drive to secure. The drive to secure. If you buy a phone, for example, you are thinking of putting a screen guard on it. Hello, I'm getting a signal. Somebody's mic is muted. I think is person trying to say something. Hello?
That. Go ahead, please.
Can I proceed?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Hello, can I proceed? Hello, can I proceed? Oh my God. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so the next thing is the drive to secure, right? Because after you buy something, the next thing you want to do to that thing is to secure it. You buy a piece of land, you don't want somebody to encroach into it, to put a fence around it. You buy a car, you do certain things around it to not, to avoid damage. You build a house, you have to put roof over it. That is one of the things that we consider. You buy a piece of house, buy a kind of fabric. One of the things you want to do to that fabric is that you want to protect it from damage because of the cost that is linked with it. Then the next thing that we want as humans that drives us is bonding, the drive to bond. You will see that this thing also goes into the Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. We want to bond, want to belong in a family. One of the businesses that came because of the need for, or the solution that came to solve the need for bonding and feeling and belongingness is Facebook. All this social media exists because people want to bond, people want to connect with one another. Then the next thing is the drive to feel. You want to feel good. I wear your outfits made by. Okay, the person mentioned that I think it was Florence that mentioned that she does. I'm sorry if I'm not correct, but you do ready-to-wear outfits or bespoke. People wear your outfits, they feel good about it because at the end of the day, you would realize that as humans, we are buying feelings. You're not just you don't buy food just to fill your belly. You buy food to feel good. Okay, I'm currently at a restaurant in Lagos, and I'm going to be paying higher amount to buy food that I could have gotten elsewhere for a certain amount of money. But there is a drive to feel good. There is the experience, the ambience that is going to be afforded me in this place. And that's why I'm here. I could have been in Chicken Republic. It's going to be a very noisy place for me at this moment. So there's the drive to feel. You wear a kind of wristwatch, Rolex, Swatch, all these big names. The reason they exist, they call them luxury brands. The reason they call them luxury brands is that they are appealing to people's feelings, people's emotions. You're not just buying, you're buying an experience, you're buying feeling. Then the next thing is the drive to learn. The drive to learn. That's the fifth one. People want to really learn. And that is why if you look at outfits, I recently recommended this to somebody who I was trying to engage the person who's also, she's a startup owner, she's into fashion. I told her that I have not seen any Nigerian brand that gives you information about the outfits you wear. I'm telling somebody who is in fashion here. If you buy let's say a Primark outfit, you wear a Gucci outfit, TM Lewin, you would find that there is a tag by the side of the outfit, giving you the information about the outfit. I've not seen a Nigerian brand that does that. It is people want to learn, they want to get information about what you are offering them. So the drive to learn is part of the things humans are. Not everybody is given to learning, but some people would appreciate it because as you begin to, so we'll come to market segmentation, where you are able to say, okay, this is the target market I'm considering. You're not going to be putting too much information for somebody who is unlearned. They will not need it. But if your target market is people who are highly skilled, who are HNIs, and they are intellectual, you want to give them information about what you are offering to them. Today, if you buy a medication, you would see paper inside it. So somebody is saying hello. Mira is saying hello. Hello, Mira. Is there anything you want to share? Any question? Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. Somebody mentioned that red button does it. You find that it is important that you share information with people who buy your items. If you buy a phone today, you get the manual. That is a part of education. People want to learn. Okay. Then let's go into the business model canvas. And I mentioned that it is simply the way organizations or businesses create value. If you want to define what a business model is, it is simply how you create value, how you deliver the value, and how you capture the value. In a simple sense, it is how businesses make money. Business model means it is the design of how you make money as a business owner. So for this evening, we'll be talking about business model canvas, or rather the lean canvas. The lean canvas came because all these technology companies who began to build software wanted to go faster into the market. They wanted to be more flexible in their approach to solving problems, right? In a bit to solving customer problems, these guys had to look for, okay, instead of writing 100-page business plan that a lot of times people are supposed to be your investors don't even have the time to read. And because attention is not it is a prized commodity nowadays. It's not something you get very easily. Hence, you have to be very fast with the way you do things. And we live in a very fast-paced world where things change and you need to be very agile. So this guy, Eric Rice, or Reyes, let me just, Eric Reyes, yeah, who is Eric Reyes is the owner of PayPal. He came up with the link canvas. But before the link canvas came, there was an alternative that was existent that was made by a man called Alexander Osterwalder. He came with the 9 blocks. Also, the link canvas has the nine blocks. So I'm just going to focus on the link canvas this evening. 9 blocks, and I'm going to start with an important part of the, sorry. Oh, give me a minute, please. Okay, thank you for projecting the hello guys, sorry. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
All right, sorry, I'm back. Okay, guys, sorry, I had to attend to something very. Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Give me a minute. All right, guys. So I talked about 3 things. So I talked about the value creation, talked about value delivery, and value capture. And I'm going to speak to those elements very. I will speak to it in the process of time. Okay. So the important thing for us to learn really is that every business they create value or solve a problem that is needed. I mean, they solve problem and they offer products and services that are needed by people who are willing to pay at a price that that is favorable both to the business owner and to the customer, and the customer gets the value and is satisfied to the point where the person wants to have a repeated experience or repeated business with the person, right? So again, the business model exists. So there is the drive to acquire, drive to secure, drive to feel, drive to learn, and drive to bond. You want to belong in a community, you want to be a part of a group. So if you take picture today, you want somebody to see it because, oh, I look very fine today. You post it on WhatsApp status. You go on IG, you post it there. You go on Facebook, you share it. Snapchat, you put it there. You want to belong. If you remember the time that we had BlackBerry, just imagine when you hear the sound of BlackBerry. Oh, ping. Somebody wants to come to you. Can I have your pin? It is the drive to connect, to bond. That is why social media exists, right? So very quickly, I'm just going to speak to each block. So we have 9 blocks. And I would want everybody here to be able to put context to what they do, specifically from things I'm going to share. Okay, so let's start with the customer segment. Remember I said that one of the reasons why businesses fail, 35% of the reasons why businesses fail is that there is no market need. There is no market. And I said that if you're talking about need, it means that there is a problem, there is a gap, or there's an opportunity for you to take advantage of within a space of time. Because if you don't do it within a space of time, someone else might do it. Idea is free to have. I want to confirm something. Is there anybody in this place that has ever thought about something, they intend to do it? If it is you, you can just type yes. You don't need to speak. You have thought about something that you are trying to implement or maybe do, and let's say 2 or 3 days off, or a week after, or 2 weeks after, a month after, you just find that somebody's already doing it. Is there anybody? Okay, somebody already said yes. The reason is because idea is free to hear. I'm not even going to talk about where ideas come from. My idea is free to hear, which means that anybody has access to it. It is the person who implements it fastest and effectively and is able to reach the critical mass of people. Or let me say, able to attract strategically the group of people that want that wins eventually, right? Somebody said she's lost. Mira said she's lost. Every other person says they can hear me, but Mira said she's lost. Lost, is it that you can't hear me, or I'm speaking highfalutin words? Maybe the grammar I'm using is too high. Is that the case? Please let me know. Hello, guys. Can you hear me still? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so let me start. Problem. What if you ask yourself as a person, what problem are you trying to solve? Which means that what need you think people are that you are trying to meet? What gap are you trying to for example, if you are in participate, what is that problem? I want to say
Can someone really hear him?
I'm sure that you can.
Your voice
Oh,
is
you can't hear me
low.
now.
We can hear you now,
You
sir.
can't hear me.
But it was faint. I can hear you now,
How is
sir.
it now?
But then it was faint. It was coming up. just
All right. Okay. So at any point that you can't hear me, please just let me know. Please just notify me because, okay, I said that if, I mean, example, you are trying to solve the problem, you're into fashion, the problem you are trying to solve is nakedness because that problem has been solved already. Only an insane person would go around naked. The problem you want to solve might be that it might be the problem of sizing. Some people are size 8, some people are size 6, some people are size 10. Some people switch between sizes. They are in between 8 and 7, 8 and 10. Some are in between 10 and 12, that kind of thing. So the problem you are trying to solve at that point is not just the problem of nakedness. The problem that exists is with the problem of sizing. Another problem that exists in the fashion space is the problem of finishing. Some people make very nice outfits, but the finishing is very poor. Another problem you're trying to address if you are in fashion and in any other business is the problem of timeliness or trust. Somebody mentioned trust economy the other time, talking about escrow. So you are trying to solve the problem of trust that, oh, then there is the problem of what I ordered versus what I got. Those are the problems you are trying to solve because that is what distinguishes you from competition at the end of the day. So you have to be able to define the problem very well. One of the reasons why some people don't do well in business or are unable to build businesses that can scale is that they don't know the problem they are solving. Then we move then to solution. We move to solution. The solution then is, what are the means that you are devising to meet the needs, solve the problem, and bridge the gap that exists in the market. Right? So you're able to then say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So then there's the problem of quality, the fact that some people will tell you that this is the quality of this material, or some people that are even in the business don't even know materials that have good quality, so they can't tell them apart. You are trying to solve that problem, and this requires a lot of attention to detail as a business owner. That is one of the skills that is very important. So then I move to customer segment, which is where I want us to engage. One of the problems that people have in business is that they are trying to serve everybody. The moment I hear everybody from your mouth, I already know that you don't know what you are. You don't know, and I'm not going to say you don't know what you are doing. I'm going to rather say that you don't know the problem you are solving, or you don't know the needs that exist. All right, so I'm just going to call somebody randomly. The person tells us, again, I think Ifeanyi's video is on. I would like to call on Ifeanyi. Can you tell us your market segment, Ifeanyi? Hello, Ifeanyi. Okay, I have Marvelous here. Marvelous, you can unmute your mic. And okay, Ifeanyi, go ahead.
Okay, good evening. I don't quite understand your question.
I can barely hear you, Ifeanyi.
I don't quite understand your question. Can you repeat your question, please?
I can't hear you, Ifeanyi. Can anybody hear you? Sorry. Okay, let's have Florence. Florence, can you tell us your customer segment? Hello? Okay, while we are waiting for Florence, can we have Marvelous? Oh my God. Okay, Igwe Praise, go ahead, please. Tell us your customer segment.
Okay, thank you. My customer segment, in respect to the streaming industry, focuses on those who can subscribe to really get video on demand, and not just those who really want, or those who can accept to watch advertisements. We segmented it down to those who really can be able to pay for premium as it should be. You get.
Okay. I'm going to say that your customer segment is undefined. And let me try to show you how you could define your customer segment. There's something we call user persona. Yeah, or just say persona really. Persona is more like, or you say avatar, the representation or a visual representation of the customer segment or the ideal user of your product. And let's use demography to define. Let's use demography to define your customer segment. Let's use demography to define your customer segment. And by demography, I mean the characteristics of an ideal person that would be your customer. So let's start with gender, male or female. So you might be serving both male and female. Then we talk about age range. So are you serving people in their 70s? Are you serving people? So we have currently 5 generations that are existent. We have maybe more than 5 generations actually. But at least for people who have purchasing power at the moment, we have 5 generations. We have the silent generation, we have the baby boomers, we have the Gen X, we have the Gen Y. I belong to Gen Y. Then we have the Gen Z. So which of these generations are you serving? You have to be able to define it. Then you talk about people that are able to subscribe. A lot of people can be able to subscribe. They might not be interested in your product. So people you are considering at the moment, maybe your early adopters, are they students or are they working class people who do blue collar jobs or the ones that do white collar jobs? You have to be able to define those things. You have to also be able to define their characteristics. I'm going to tell everybody in this place, please, if you are building any product, go and read about the characteristics of every generation. If you see some of us in this place now, I think here in Lagos, in the past 3 years, the kind of outfits that has been trendy, especially among ladies, is corset. But some of our baby boomers hate the idea of corset. So if you are going to be serving baby boomers, you cannot offer them corset because don't you want those guys to breathe? Then if you are going to be serving Gen Zs, there's a particular design you have to give to them. That is why it is important for every individual on this call to be able to define their customer segment. You are not serving everybody. You are not selling jollof rice. In fact, not everybody likes jollof rice. You are selling a product. Your product could even be niche based. It might not be mass market. It might be niche based. It might be gender based. Somebody mentioned that she makes outfits, ready to wear outfits for females. But you can now then segment the females. The reason is, so we call it the STP of marketing. The first thing you do is that you're able to choose a segment of the market. Choose from everybody, which of these guys am I ready to serve? And how can I serve them satisfactorily? Then you now talk about targets. Out of this from this segment, which of these guys are my targets? And the next thing is positioning. How do I position myself to a point where they can be seen? I'm sorry, I'm just going to use a line from Bible. It says that no man lights a candle and puts it under a bushel, but he has to put it in a place where it can be seen. That is the whole idea behind positioning. And there are a lot of things you have to do regarding that, right? So let's not stay too long here. You should be able to define your customer segment. I'm going to say, for example, let me use Facebook, which is what all of us know. Facebook came because students were leaving schools, they were creating yearbooks, but they just needed to digitize it because people would travel distances, maybe they would have lost their phone numbers. Some people use their parents' numbers. Hence, the need to create a platform where people could just connect afterwards, share pictures, share stories, right? So it happened, even though that project didn't start with Mark Zuckerberg. Like they are saying that he steals people's ideas and implements it at scale. That is what he has done with Thread. So clone Twitter, and to do it better, right? The first guys who were the adopters of what Zuckerberg offers were Harvard students. But over time, it moved across campuses. So those guys were the early adopters. You should also be able to define your early adopters. If you make footwears, you should be able to target a segment of the market that you want to maybe make them buy into what you are offering at the beginning. Because your early adopters are very important. There's something called the law of diffusion of innovation. So it takes like 4 steps. There are some people that will not go for what you have. They would wait until everybody begins to wear it or begins to use it before they adopt it. So then, moving from customer segment, like I mentioned, you have to be able to appropriately define your customer segment. If you are selling food items, like I mentioned, Chicken Republic might be for everybody. So which means everybody can just come in, or it is for the mass market because their price point is lower. But you go to certain places, for example, I went to a place and they said it's buffet. And for me to have buffet, I'm going to pay 16K, which means I could eat anything I want to eat for a time frame. So it is 13K in the morning, 16K in the afternoon, and I think 15K in the evening. So I showed up in the afternoon. I could eat everything I'm going to eat, but if I eat just 2 items, two food items, yeah, from that place, I'm still going to pay 16K. It is standard. Once I enter that place, that is what they have done, is that they have been able to create a niche for themselves. There's a class of people that comes into that kind of environment. The same food you eat at Chicken Republic for, let's say, 3K maximum, you go elsewhere and you pay 16K. It is the reason why you have to define your customer. The same outfit you make that some people will price for 5K, some people will buy it for 30K. It depends on the class of the market or the segment of the market you are trying to target specifically. So, and you know that the higher you go up the ladder of human need, the higher your price would go. If you are serving people who have not been able to eat food, automatically you cannot put too much price. They are not going to sell. If you are serving people who have gone past food to shelter, or let's say the safety need, who have gone past the psychological or the love need, or then who have now gone to a place of esteem, you can then price them higher. Somebody told me a true life story. A woman entered into a shop to buy outfits ready to wear. There was a tag of 30,000 naira on it. He was surprised. Why would you guys sell this thing for 30,000? The owner of that store noticed that, oh, this woman is pompous. They are going to meet her at this point. They changed the price of that thing to 300K. The woman paid 300K for a 30,000 naira item. So you just to understand human psychology, how people behave, so that you can be able to meet them at that point. Then the other part is really that you don't want to limit your business to your immediate environment. Most of the items that we import today, they go across the world. We can also begin to think global. So start local, think global. In the end, you have to put excellence into what you do. That's one of the recommendations I'm going to give you. Then the other thing is the unique selling proposition, UVP, or you call it unique value proposition, or either USP or unique value. So let me call it unique value proposition. What you call your unique value proposition is, what is this thing that separates you from others? And it's different from unfair advantage. I'm going to say, Amazon today is known for one thing. It is customer service. I recently ordered something from them and they delivered in time as promised in a well-packaged box, right? They also have return policy that, oh, you have delivered this thing to your doorstep, you might not like it. In as much as you don't like it, please return it to us within the space of time, we'll get it done. So they have that unique selling proposition, that this is what we do. Then if you look at all this, what I'm going to say is you should have a benchmark for your business. You should have a bench. Who does it best in this industry? How does this person do it? For example, one of the best
in terms of footwear, one of the best companies, especially for sports, is Nike. So you can benchmark Nike or Adidas. Those are the top in the industry. I think there is ASICS, there's Under Armour, there's Reebok, there's Puma, all of those guys. But can you choose Nike and Adidas? Read their story. How did these guys build this? You can also you can replicate it. But before you replicate, you have to consider your context. This brings me to something called the business and the business analysis core concept model, BACCM. You don't need to know, you don't need that. All I'm saying is you don't need to necessarily know the concept. I mean the word I used. You don't have to cram it, but it's just BACCM. I just want you to see it in this way. So BACCM has 6 elements. The first thing is change. The next thing is need. The third thing is solution. After solution, we have stakeholder, we have value, and we have context. I'm going to explain this to everybody so you would understand. So you are trying to change people's behavior, for example. You know what fashion has been doing over the years? Fashion just influences people's culture. If you look at it, many years ago, if you wear an oversized trouser, maybe baggy trousers, let's say many years back, it was a trend, it was a norm. But 5 years ago, wearing baggy trousers was not big. It was not something that was normal. So sometimes boys were wearing boot cuts. Again, boot cut faded. Boys began to wear slim trousers. So this is the way behavior of people change. And that is why if you're in everything you build, you have to put time into perspective. And that is why some products fail because they are wrongly timed. So you have to put time into perspective. And what I mean by time, so you are thinking about the next 5 years. What meta as what we write? So you find that I'm just going to be bringing everything back home little by little, right? So you find that you have to think beyond where you also have to put time into perspective that what I'm designing right now in the next 5 years, you have to check trends, things that are happening around the world because we are in Nigeria. You even find that development comes to us very fast in Nigeria compared with other parts of Africa, right? Then I talked about the change. You're trying to influence something because there is a need. So a need is that problem that you're trying to solve or the opportunity you're trying to grab. Then the next thing that happens is a solution. So we talk about problem, we talk about solution. The next thing after that is stakeholder. In this case, stakeholders are your customers. You have to consider your customers who you are making this thing for, because one of the mistakes we make sometimes is that we do not put customers into perspective, or we do not put custom or users into considerations while we are designing product. We just think, oh, because I like it, my customer would like it. It's a lie. And in the last cohort, I asked the question: who is your so there is a difference between, so if you are going to design diapers, for example, I am designing diapers for children. You have to put 2 individuals into perspective as you design. That's why I'm saying it's important that you know your customer segment. There is Moflix, there is Pampers, which is the household name that people use. There is Huggies, and a host of them. I found that some people just buy Moflix because they cannot afford to buy the Huggies. Huggies are not meant for everybody. Pampers not meant for everybody. So you define your segments in that way. But as you design, you are designing with 2 individuals in mind. Number 1 is the customer. The customers are the people who are buying the product. In this case, that could be the parents of the children that are going to use the diapers. So you are not just designing for the comfort of the children, you're also designing for the appeal of the parents. That is why Oh, I was going to talk about the elements of value. I recommend that you go and read about the elements of value. I can just speak to that easily in this place. So we have the functional elements, we have the emotional elements, we have the uh, I think there's the social element, then there's the life-changing element. All of these things still look like the pyramid of human need also. So in terms of functional elements, I let me use shoe for example. Functional element of your shoe now would include quality, the quality of the leather, the quality of the sole, the, the aesthetic appeal that when I wear it. So the unfair advantage, which some businesses in this place might not have, is that unfair advantage that you have is that there's just one thing that you know that no other person knows. If you're in certain industries, maybe where you're in certain industries where uh, regulatory frameworks and policies are in place. So let's the person that that was able to invent the COVID-19 um, vaccine. Those guys had patents that, okay, for this length of years, let's say 10 years, you are going to be the only person to produce this. When penicillin was out as one of the first antibiotics, Alexander Fleming had patents. So let's say for 10 years, it's an unfair advantage. One of the unfair advantages you can also have is that you have the monopoly of markets in your space. No one else is doing it. That is an unfair advantage. Or you have one secret ingredient. They say that there's one secret ingredient that is a cook that nobody knows up until now. So that is an unfair advantage. Another unfair advantage that you could have is money. Maybe you have enough money to throw around. For example, one of the unfair advantages that Meta has that would make them invest $19 billion in WhatsApp that is not going to give them any money is that they have enough money to do it. Then the high-level concept. High-level concept is more like, where do you see this your organization going in the future? So it's the long-term plan you have for your organization. Do you want to be the first in the industry? And being first does not, because you cannot be first in everything at the end of the day, because what you do will be easily copied. But when it comes to customer service, you want to be the first. When it comes to quality, you want to be the first. When it comes to convenience, so there are two things. What are the elements of value? We have convenience and fidelity. The fact that if you are building a software as a service, or you are so if you're in the trust economy, for example, fidelity is important. Fidelity means trust. I can trust you. It means security. Then the convenience talks about the fact that it makes my life easy. I don't have to, it doesn't make me anxious. It is easy to use. All of those things, you have to put them into perspective as you build. Then key metrics. They say what is not measured is not monitored. And what is not monitored is not well managed. So you want to be able to have key metrics. You have to be able to define them. If you have software as a service, let's say a person who has movie streaming platform, for example, you want to consider daily active users. You want to consider the number of subscribers, maybe weekly, maybe monthly, maybe yearly, any way you want to measure it. Then you want to consider returning customers. How many people are coming back? So you could have 10,000 subscribers, but how many of them are actually having return experience with you, or they're having repeated transaction with you? Then you can also there's something called Net Promoter Score, which is for customer satisfaction. That is if you have, let's say, a software platform. But you should also be able to get feedback from customers, get their satisfaction level. You look at customer satisfaction survey from time to time. How are you doing? All of those things. You have to be able to define your key metrics. Then another metric you are considering is the return on investment. So this is the amount you have invested. This is how much are you getting back from the investment that you have made. Okay, then the other thing I'm going to talk about is the existing alternative, and this is about competition. So I'm going to talk about the 5 forces of the market very quickly. 5 forces of the market talks about the things that shape how competition to charge you for your for the raw materials that you are going to use to make the product that you are trying to deliver. So suppliers' power. When you don't have enough power, maybe a supplier is the one that does it. So prices always go higher. It is the law of economics. Prices always go higher when demand exceeds supply. Prices always go higher. So when a supplier is the one who has the raw materials that you have, the person can influence the market price. Then the next one is the buyer's power. When there are too many people who offer the same product or service, the buyer would have power to say that this is the amount I can pay for this. If you don't want it, I'll go to the next person who offers the same service. So in that market that is highly competitive, the power of the buyer goes higher. Then the next thing is the barrier to entry. I'm not sure anybody here present is in an industry where it is difficult to enter. The reason is if you're making shoes, you can just be making the shoes inside your room. If you want to start a microfinance bank, for example, you have to go and get license. The cost of the license is high. That is the barrier to entry. So if you don't play in an industry where the barrier to entry is high, it means that you have a lot of competitors already because your work can easily be copied. If you're in airline industry, for example, the cost of getting airlines, to even get operating license is a lot. The cost of one aircraft is a lot. So getting into that space is also high, right? If you're into food, you don't need to get license to open a restaurant. You easily get one. Okay, then, channel. I didn't talk about channel. Channel then means how you reach your customers, how you source your customers. So this could be social media, it could be referrals, it could be words of mouth. I'm going to say this, please serve every customer like that is the only customer you would have. And they say that every individual has 10 touch points. It's a multiply effect. So if you make an outfit for me, for example, or you render a service to me that is so satisfactory, I'm going to tell somebody about it at no cost to you. The cost of acquisition, it is called CAC, customer acquisition cost, will be very low for you when you offer valuable and satisfactory service, the valuable product and satisfactory service to your customers. Words of mouth. Do not underestimate the word of mouth. Because if you are going to reach a lot of people through social media, that means you are going to pay for ads. That influences your cost structure. How do you acquire your customers? How do you get your products? Do you do advertisements? Who you pay salary if you're not the only person who runs the business? All of these things are parts of your cost structure. So everything that you do then boils down to the two. You will find that the two things at the bottom are the widest space, cost structure and revenue stream. You must be able to know how you make money. I'm saying it again, you must be able to know how you make money. And you should be able to define the value chain. So you are from the point of raw material to the point of processing, you must be able to define how you are making your money. So for a person who is into software as a service, majority of the time. So your money will come in through subscription or to come through licenses. Some people buy the licenses outright. Some people pay you subscription fee. Then if you are into, let's say, fashion, you are making your money from sales. You could make your money from training. You could also make, it is basically going to be around sales, around training, or maybe around partnerships. Then if you are into food, food is also sales. You know that's what I'm saying. Some parts of the food that you even make, let's say the raw materials that you use to make your food, that you might want to throw away, you could still make money off it. You just to think around how you could make money off all of these things. What have I not spoken to? This means I've spoken to the unique selling proposition. Another unique selling proposition, I'm going to say how you can define your unique selling proposition. In this case, I'm just going to end on that note and I'll take questions. Yeah. So your unique selling proposition is how you want to appeal to your customers' emotion in such a way that both to their logic and to their emotion. Once you are able to get people at the point of their logic and emotion, because majority of the time the decisions we make are even rather emotional than logical. That is why loyalty is it's an emotional game. It's not logical. There are some people that you have, some things you buy from certain people. You cannot even tell why you buy it from them. It's because they have been able to reach you at the point of your emotion. There's something called emotional bank account, which is more like the financial bank account that you have. So you offer me service, I'm satisfied with it. You have made deposit into my emotional bank account. You are taking me from the place of customer acquisition to the point of customer retention. But beyond that, you are taking me to the point of customer loyalty. And beyond the level of customer loyalty, you are taking me to the level of customer advocacy. That is where the word of mouth is important. That's what I'm saying. You must offer excellent service as much as you can. Because some of us might not understand the implication of not serving a person well. The person has 10 touch points, and people believe they are friends. So the 10 touch points they have 100 touch points. The 100 touch points they have 1,000 touch points. It is geometric progression, right? So you look at it from that category. So because there is a bank in Nigeria I once worked with them, Sterling Bank. As part of their customer service strategy, they say the organization is going to be called a one customer bank, which means that they are going to serve every customer like that is the only customer they have. If you are going to bring in 1,000, they will treat you like they will treat a person who is bringing the billion. They don't do that one. That one just on paper, child. They don't do it, but they try their best to do that. But at least it's a communication that they even show, and they make it compulsory for every member of the organization to ensure that customer service is at the best. The owner of DHL, I read his book titled Radical Simplicity. What he had to do on his own was he traveled across all the regions where DHL is present. And what he did was he began to facilitate customer service training. Everybody that works with DHL, that I don't know if they still do it, must be certified in customer service to be confirmed as a staff member of that organization. It is that serious, because that is what will give you an unfair advantage. That people like it. So Maya Angelu mentioned that people will forget what you say to them. They will forget what you do to them, but they will never forget how you made them feel. I mentioned sometimes that all of us, whether we like it or not, we are chasing feelings, we are chasing esteem, which means that at this point, all of us must be ready to meet the esteem need of the people. That means for you must be able to define your customer segments. In summary, you must be able to know the segments you are serving. You must be able to know their unique behavioral traits and characteristics. It is important. If you are making high slit dress for a baby boomer, I don't know. Because even for different, if you are making clothes for church people, you have to be careful the kind of clothes you are making for them. You are making clothes for certain people, there is a way you have to be. Some guys, there's a particular company that makes laundry, and the color they choose for their laundry is red. The reason they choose red is because it makes you irresistible that when you wear that laundry and you stand before a man, it loses its sense outright. So it makes you irresistible that nobody can say no to you when you appear. That is what those guys are selling to women. It is a feeling, it is that feeling of acceptance. And I would also recommend here, as elements, so we're not talking about branding, but I'm just going to tell you here, go and read about the psychology of color. If you look at fashion industry, for example, the dominant color in fashion industry is black. But let me say the dominant colors are black, gray, white, blue. Majority of them. The dominant color in healthcare are, are so the dominant color in healthcare is blue, because blue means healing. The dominant color in food industry, the dominant colors are red, yellow, orange. The dominant colors for, let's say, water, if you look at water now, you find that the dominant color for packages of water, for bottles of water, and things they put around, the labels they put around them is blue, because blue means purity also. It's a proof that what you're holding right now is pure, right? So you have to look about that, because all of these things matter in appealing to your customers. In appealing to your customers, you don't want to go and put red in a hospital as a look. Red means danger, or it means emergency. If you're in if it's an emergency, if it's so when you see Red Cross, for example, it means emergency. You can easily um you can easily you can easily tell what it is. In closing, let me show you. I want to show you an image. I want to show you an image, very dangerous image. I'm just going to share my screen. So I hope I still have it. I saw this image somewhere. Okay. Okay, let me share my screen so you can see. Just confirm when you see my screen, please. Hold on. Hold on, guys. Okay, confirm that you can see my screen. Hello? Okay, if you can see my screen, what does this look like to you at first glance? Just drop it in the chat box. What does this image represent? Eh? Somebody just spoke. What does it look like at first first sight?
It looks like a drink. You go drink again.
Exactly. But if you look at it closely, if you look at the label, this is a liquid dishwash. This is a soap. So you have to be careful when you're also designing your product. Anybody, I'm not sure these guys would believe, maybe in their own context, because context also matters. What we have associated with this is either milk, yogurt. Yeah, it's really drinks, up Five Alive, Chivita, all of those things. But this is liquid wash. I don't understand why these guys have to have to design their own products this way. I'm just trying to say that we have to be careful even as we design our products. So at first sight, people are saying yogurt, they are saying drinks, they are saying milk, but that is a detergent, or let me say soap, liquid soap that is supposed to be used to wash plates. So yeah, it's just important for us to know what we are doing. Again, the essence of business model is just at a glance, you are able to see what you are doing. And anybody that sees how you put details into it knows that you know what you are doing. It helps you to structure your thinking. It helps you to structure your business properly. Instead of writing 100-page document that you are not even understand, or that might not make so much meaning in the end. You can easily get everything you need from that framework that is a page. Oh, good questions. Thank you guys for listening and for staying with me with all of my grammar and models. So I want to take your questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mazi. It's been a wonderful and insightful discussion and learning. So my question is on how do we really, as startups, especially in Nigeria, seeing the fact that most times we have foreigners or foreign companies dominating our sectors. Morning Point was dominating at a time. For me, I think they are losing it. And now you have OPay and PamPay, who are predominantly Chinese companies. So my question is, how do you now, because I have studied these guys, and everything boils down to psychology. So don't you think, or how do we factor in psychology in most of our products development? Because you made mention of whatever we are building is for feelings. Like people will remember you for how you made them feel. So what's the place of psychology? Triggers, viral loop, feedback loop, algorithm, all these um, um, psychological play. How do we factor it in our startup?
Okay. So you just spoke about in. I'm just going to answer the question based on the context you provided. This is financial services. So I'm not sure money point at any point. I'm talking from Lagos and maybe from the general data that I have. OPay had gone across Nigeria even before Money Point came. Money Point was Timat before now. But really, what those guys did, and that is why if you're going to build a product, one of the things you have to consider in your strategy, you have to first look at what you're capable of as an individual. Because at the end of the day, if you're not going to be able to capture so much value, sometimes what you have to do is maybe not to go that line because the big players would swallow you up. I'm going to recommend, this is just a general recommendation. I'm going to answer your question. This is a general recommendation. And for us in Nigeria, one of the best things we have to begin to think about is collaboration because we don't even have the resources. Majority of these fintechs that are the top of the game in the country are usually funded by external investors. OPay is not owned by Nigeria, for example. Okay, Timat, MoneyPoint is owned by a Nigerian, but they got funding from international investors, right? So you have to do PESU analysis. By PESU analysis, I mean, so you have to do the political analysis. So you have to consider the political landscape of your context. So Nigeria is our context. Then the first E is the economic part of it. Then the S is social. How do our people, so what's our culture like? What are the things we embrace? Then the T is technology. Which technology is currently available to us? And how can I use this technology to scale? Do I even have the means to acquire some of these technologies? Then the next thing is legal framework. That is the place of, let's say, the licenses we get. Then the next thing is the environment. So the Nigerian landscape, let me say, for example, the regulator of the financial sector in the country, CBN, has given licenses to those guys to operate. And they have allowed them to spread across the country because these guys are giving money and they're giving banks a run for their money. In designing your products such that it can beat these guys, what do you have to do differently? In my opinion, it's a very hard thing to do. I have to be sincere with you. It's a very hard thing to do. And the chance that you would win them is slim. The chance that you win them is slim. The only thing you want to do is that if you cannot beat them, you join them. That is why I'm talking about the place of collaboration. You want to do it as an individual, it might not work. Of all, let's say of 10 fintechs that have emerged in this country, of 10, at least 7 fails. The ones that don't fail, maybe they're even acquired by the bigger ones, right? So you have to really consider if it is something you want to do before you think about it at all. It is because if you do your personal analysis, do you stand a chance? Before we even talk about building to appeal to people's psychology, do you get? The other thing I feel you can do if you are building a product is serve a market segment that these guys have not touched. And that was one of the things that OP did. They had played enough with financial inclusion data, understanding that about 60% of Nigerian population are unbanked. They knew where those guys are. What did they do? They invested a lot into agency banking to spread across the country. Do you have the capacity to do that? And some of these guys also do it in such a way that for the first 3-4 years of their operation, they don't even make profit. Sometimes they don't even break even. They take the risk. The only thing they are trying to do is they are building momentum onto a point where they reach stability and they begin to make huge amount of money. When LOPay came, those guys said that, okay, for the first 3 transfers that you do, it is free. From the 4th one up, we'll be charging you 13 naira. So those guys already have an advantage. They had a lot of money to play with. If you don't have it, building to appeal to people's psychology might not work. So you have to be careful you are competing with. That's why it is important that you do your SWOT analysis. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the opportunities that abound? And that's why I'm saying that you have to then look for a gap that those guys have not reached. And it doesn't still guarantee success because it is the economies of scale. Because those guys already have the reach, they already have the traction and momentum. They can still go ahead of you. And that's why I'm saying the best thing you can do with these guys is if you don't have enough resources, join them. If you are lucky enough, because really, a lot of people have fintech ideas, a lot of people have ideas, very big ones. Reality is that before they even implement the idea, someone else has taken over it. It is because of skill, it is because of presence and the reach that those guys already have. I don't know if I answered your question, but I'm just trying to talk from the place of realism that unless you are going to exactly define the segments you are going to be targeting different from them, and you have also found a gap that you feel that is needed. I mean, there is a need to build a bridge around that gap, that you want to fill the gap, or there's an opportunity that is available because you have been able to play with enough information, you have enough data that can validate that, that with which you could validate your idea. Or maybe you have a group of people with whom you have tested it and it works. At that point, you will be able to scale or maybe play favorably in the industry. But if you are going to compete with the players who are already established, it's a big deal. Like I said, no amount of psychology would work because money is important to compete. And if you don't have it, there's nothing you can do. I don't know if that answers your question. But if anybody, for example, wants to take a stab at it, like, okay, let me try this and see if it works. If you do it, it might work. Do you know that some guys can't even go past their immediate environment or their community? It is because once they get out of that space, what they are offering might not be accepted. Because some guys have already penetrated the market. It is the reason why we don't have a lot of successful fintechs in the country today. Many of them have collected investors' fund and have gone bankrupt. So the goal is if you can collaborate or integrate. So what some guys even do today is that they begin to build APIs, and that is what they are selling. Rather than build a fintech, okay, we'll begin to build APIs. We'll give you this API. This is what you can do. You earn your money from that one rather than building something that you spend a lot of money, time, and attention on, and an established competitor takes over it. So if you look at the social media space, it's not only Facebook or let me say Meta platforms that exist. A lot of them exist today, but we can't hear about them because they don't even have the population. Top of mind awareness. If you want to think about social media today, you're thinking about Instagram, you're thinking about Facebook, you're thinking about Twitter. Those guys have taken the space. So if you want to compete with those guys, you will not win. The best you can do is to partner with them. So think partnership rather than build a platform that already is existent or that can be easily copied by existing rivals in the market. So that's why I talked about the 5 forces of the market: the buyer's power, supplier's power, existing rivals, the barrier to entry, and the fifth one is substitute products. So if you look at it from that perspective, you will find that, do I really want to do this, or I should just, I can't be able to beat them. Let me re-strategize. Let me partner with them. So let me join them rather than beat them. But if another my own fear really is because I play in the financial services sector. What I've noticed really is that these guys are smart and they are very agile. You know, when you look, the problem with the competition that is happening between banks and fintechs is that fintechs are more agile. They are ready to fail because they're not even using their money. But if a bank fails today, everybody is in problem. So but fintechs can fail. I have a guy who started a fintech. He got money from investors, and the guy is giving up because he wants to leave the country. Investors' money is gone. I just think it's important to consider collaboration. And I'm saying it again that it's 2 persons can achieve greater results than 1 person would. And if you look at it, majority of these companies had 2 people or 3 persons who came together. Google, we have Sergey Brin and Larry Page came together. For Apple, we have Tim Cook and Steve Wozniak. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. For about 4 people built YouTube before they sold it to Google. I mean, Zuckerberg was not the only person that built Facebook. I think he built Facebook alongside a couple of friends. I think between 5 and 8. Then which other company is there? HP, Paul Allen and no, not HP. Sorry, Microsoft, Paul Allen and Bill Gates. So you think about collaboration rather than running.
Airbnb.
Okay, so you see Airbnb also. What's that guy's name? Chris something. So you find that people these days. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so people these days are considering collaboration over, let me just be the only runner and win the game. So think collaboration, think partnership, think collaboration, think partnership as you build. Because if you don't consider that, the chance of success is very slim. And like I mentioned, the idea is free to hear. If you don't have the money to implement it, you could sit to build the platform. But if you don't have the resource to scale it, because these giants are very fierce. They're ready to kill anybody to succeed. They don't care about anybody really. Because if Zuckerberg is not stopped the way he's running, he will take the monopoly of social media. Alternatively, like I mentioned, if you want to even build this, if you feel that this guy is because you have to be able to do your analysis very well, do your SWOT analysis, PESU analysis, market analysis, environmental analysis, all of those analyses, you have to do them very well. Industry analysis, you have to do them very well so that you have enough information to play with so that you don't fail. And when you do that, you know that there is a gap that I can fill. Because at the end of the day, you might just maybe run the business for 5 years and you sell it to one of those big players. That's what happens now. I don't know if I've answered the question. Any other person has a question? Mr. Renaud.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Thank you. Though my line of applying psychology to product development, it wasn't in respect to competing with the big boys. It's in respect to customer acquisition. So instead of probably one using investors' money and dashing it to Facebook, how can one apply
It was
certain?
because you made mention of money points, OPay, and all that. Speak a lot.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, but really, if you are talking about understanding people's psychology, and like I advise, you need to be able to understand the generation into which your customer segment belongs. And that is why also, if you are going to be serving different generations have different psyche. They have different biases. We have to also understand the biases of people. There's something, okay, do you know that, let's say, for example, something as simple as anklets, leg chains, right? If you want to sell an anklet to a baby boomer, people in their 60s, people in their late 50s, I mean their 50s and 60s, there's a way it feels. My dad, for example, who is a baby boomer, feels like any lady that wears anklet is a prostitute, or she has that tendency. You understand what I mean? It is the psyche of the people. So you don't want to sell that kind of product to those guys. Or it could be part of your product line, just that those guys are not your target market. That is the place of applying psychology to it. Understanding what makes people tick. Then your branding elements, the colors that appeal to certain people. There are certain colors that appeal to women. For example, pink. If you're going to be addressing women, we're going to be talking about pink. Certain colors appear nice to men. Blue, gray, white, black. Because it makes them feel cool and powerful. That is where psychology works. But data, if you see what Google, all these technology companies have done, they have enough data about us that they can already influence us. They push ads to us because they know that, oh, if you have searched Google over time for something, you have even searched YouTube for something, they will be pushing some certain things to your feed. What they are trying to do at that point, they're trying to break your resistance. But do you have the capacity to do that? I'm just saying, but based on what you want to do, consider the characteristics of the people. Do your research. Have enough data. Empathize with them. And by empathizing with them, know how they think, know what they hear, what they see, know how they feel. Those 4 things. Know their pains and their gains. So there's something called empathy map, which is one of the things I would recommend that people will also try to read about. I have the slide for all of those that could have shown you the pictorial view of all of those things. But really, you can just try to read about it. The essence of those things is you want to use psychology. But I'm just saying, the bigger part of the psychology is customer service. You can design something that appeals to people's psychology, but if customer service is poor, they will move on. They say I don't have chips. So let me just stop at that.
Thank you so much for that.
Okay.
Ronald
Igor, you want to say something?
was about saying something, and if he can finish up with that. So he said he applies psychology, the way he applies psychology is through customer acquisition to kind of approach the big players. So he was trying to say something like that. Ronald, can you give more context to that?
Okay, I will still give emphasis on customer acquisition. Now, I see how I have been able to study and monitor the way these guys apply basic psychological triggers to customer acquisition. So I was okay. I think I know a little of gamification.